Okay, thank you so much for joining us for the podcast. Right, I just want to make a point actually, because I kind of got sucked into a bit of conversation on Twitter, which I tend not to do. But I've had a few people, and we're getting a few comments, and I just want to sort of address something. People are asking us, because we're talking about Liverpool's ownership thing, and we're talking about, you know, the morals of Liverpool Football Club, and who might take over from FSG, or who might invest with FSG. And I've seen a lot of people saying in reply, why don't we talk about AXA? Why don't we talk about Standard Chartered? Why don't we talk about Nike? And what I kind of said on Twitter last night to a bunch of people, I don't really understand what the negativity is around those brands. So what I will say though is, it's not because we're looking to hide, and occasionally we get accused of being like in FSG's pocket, which honestly I can't say it in any more ways. It couldn't be further from the truth.
I really wish we were.
No. And jokingly, and I've said this before, if billionaires wanted to come and throw money at us to say nice things, I don't have that much money in my life that I wouldn't turn down loads of money to do it, but they don't. So they don't. I just weirdly, for some reason, Jurgen Klopp likes us. So when we get interviews with Jurgen Klopp, it's because Jurgen Klopp wants to talk to us. That's why those kind of things happen. John Henderson let us do a documentary about him because we painted a mural about him. That helps, you know what I mean? That's just the weird things where you make friends and influence people along the way, nothing to do with the owners. But to the point, obviously we talk about morals and what have you. If anyone is an expert on any of these, because again, I can't even tell you exactly what they are. I've seen a couple of people sent me some screenshots and said this is a thing, but then someone immediately retorted and said, no, that's out of date information, you need to do your research. It showed to me what a minefield it is and why I've not talked about things, because they've not really crossed my path. I trust Spirit of Shankly when if there's major moral contradictions in Liverpool and how they run, they're on it, and I tend to take my lead, and we as a channel take our lead from what Spirit of Shankly do. They're now enshrined on the board members of Spirit of Shankly, so Liverpool have got there's a closer watch on the activities of Liverpool Football Club, so things tend to are going to get flagged up more easily as well. But what I will say is, if there is anyone out there who is an expert on such things and can present a balanced argument and is prepared to come and put their face on camera or voice on podcast in person, then we are more than happy to have those debates and unearth things if there's things to be unearthed. Honestly, what I'd rather us be is just what we always were. We were a comedy sketch channel 10 years ago. I used to do impressions of Frank Lampard and Fernando Torres, you know what I mean? But I'm aware of, you know, our increasing role and you know and size of audience and stuff like. So if there's a spotlight we can shine in a positive way on things, we've tried to do that in the past. You know, we've raised money for charities, local charities. We help with the Quest for Justice with Hillsborough, raise money for food banks et al. But if there's causes that people think that we need to do, obviously there's a bazillion causes at all different kinds. All you've got to do is stand outside Westminster on any given day, and there's people protesting for a variety of things. We're only a number of people. There's only so many things we can do, and we want to continue to follow and support the football club, of course. But if there are things that we feel are real, huge moral issues that we should be aware of, come and make us aware of them, and don't just say this. You're hiding from this. Tell us the research. Point us in the direction where we can grow our understanding of things. That's all I ask in return before people say you throw wild accusations, and particularly, by the way, accusations of racism and stuff over the ownership thing, which is, honestly, I can't put into words how far off the mark and how incredibly offensive it is when people do throw those things. I understand it's the internet. Weeding out trolls, or people who are actively just trying to get a response and trying to muddy people's reputations, from genuine people who've maybe misinterpreted things. It's a very hard balance to find out who's being genuine and who's just doing it for a laugh. So just want to try and make that perfectly clear. But again, if you are the kind of person who's in a position of expertise, then we've got a platform for you. If you want to come, just interact at redmentv.com if you want to email there. And we can get the ball rolling on that, because I'm absolutely, I live to learn more, and I love to be educated on things. My opinions on things are fluid, and if things can be proven to me, then you'll find an advocate in me in many ways, shapes or form. And lastly, before we go, the last thing I just want to clear up, when I've been taught, because I was put on the spot on the overlap around potential owners for Liverpool.
I was about to ask you about this. Do you mind if I ask a question about that
very
quickly? I feel like you got put on the spot. It was more the follow-up from Neville, who spoke with such clarity when he by name and countries. I don't think it did anyone any favours. Would you like just to clarify? I might as well ask you, basically when you said this, I wouldn't like it. You basically said, like, all billionaires for the majority are probably crap. There are certain ones, but that was nothing to do with where they're from. It felt like, because it came on the back of Neville mentioning countries, it felt like a link was made. And I watched the video, and I can see where people who made it. I know you, so no, it wasn't, but you can see why people made that link. It felt like the second part of his question really didn't do no favours.
No, and what I was trying to get across, and what I've always tried to get across, and I realise sometimes you have to just sort of say these things as clearly as possible, is, look, you can't, we're not like people who go over to other countries and tell people how to live. It's not what I'm suggesting. But from my perspective on it, my base level, when I talk about the morals of Liverpool Football Club, is I don't want someone to come in to own the football club who doesn't respect women's rights, who doesn't respect gay rights, and doesn't respect trans rights. They are massively important things to me, and that is like it. And I saw someone saying that means you don't like brown people, which is fucking nonsense. Because I think we can all agree there's people of all races who don't respect women's rights, gay rights, or trans rights. It's got nothing to do exclusive with where you're from or what your racial background is, or even what religion you follow. Because
you could get an owner from America who goes against them, and you could get an owner from the Middle East who is pro. It doesn't matter. I'm with you, and I've had it very quickly. I don't piggyback. Like, I made a comment saying I would like Liverpool not to be state owned. I just wouldn't. It wouldn't say country. I don't care what state that is. I don't care where in the world they're from. Africa, Asia, Europe, anything. I saw someone mention like the Norwegian fund as well. I just wouldn't be comfortable with any country, because I would like Liverpool to be owned in a different way. Ideally, it wouldn't be anyone, it'd be us, but that's just never going to happen. And what does my head in, and I get it, is that people say to me, well, FSG aren't exactly wrong. I know. Absolutely. This thing, and you made it very clear, not being part of FSG out doesn't mean you're FSG in. There's a lot of people, and I feel like I sit in this, and I don't know where you do personally, it's like, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm quite excited by the prospect of new owners, but there's also a negative to it. Anyone who's painting it either way, that there's no benefits to a new owner or that there's no negatives, are wrong. There are pros and cons, and I think we're all trying to say is just be careful. And we're entitled to be wary, and I'm getting pissed off or getting accused of X, Y and Z. There's us as a channel and me personally.
Well, we saw it with Jurgen Klopp the other week, who made a comment, an innocuous comment, around there's certain clubs that can do what they want, and was accused of basically xenophobia, and he's taken that to court because, again, these things shouldn't be thrown around willy-nilly, and I've said it before, it's incredibly offensive, and it's not, and it's just not on.
We've had it, because I give Naby Keita a lower rating once on a player rating than Jordan Henderson, and I got DM saying, you're a racist. It's fucking stupid. Grow the fuck up. Racism is such a huge problem in all society. Don't willy-nilly throw it around, because you lessen the impact of when someone is a fucking racist prick. It lessens it when everyone's getting banned at it, and I feel like at the moment we're taking a few shots that we probably don't deserve to be taking.
No, because it's a very divisive thing, and to make the point on it, like I say, I genuinely don't have a strong feeling towards FSG. They're just the billionaires who are funded, or probably less than they should have done, but they're the billionaires who have owned Liverpool during the period of the greatest success I've ever seen in my life. That is all there. So that's the only positives I have, are just from that perspective on them. I don't care about them. You could literally, every single member of FSG could walk away from that business, and another set could walk in, and I would have no more or less feeling about it, provided Liverpool continue to win and be successful and not cross over certain boundaries. Then, I think a lot of people would feel along that way.
I feel like we need to address things. Can I address one more thing as well? I've worked here for a year now. I know this shit, okay? Our biggest sign-ups come... have a guess, Chloe, you were any other time. Since last October, when I joined full-time, until today, what day do you think got us more sign-ups than anything else in terms of Redmen Plus subscriptions? Because we get accused of, you do this for access, or you be nice for interviews, or what do you think the single biggest day of in terms of driving subscriptions was, if you had to have a guess?
This year?
In the last 12 months, calendar years.
Probably something to do with transfers.
Exactly. Luis Diaz signing drove more like subscriptions to Redmen Plus than any interview. We've interviewed all kinds. We've interviewed ex-players, we've interviewed managers. The single biggest day we've had is transfers. So for us as a business, if we got owners in, right, who were funding Nottingham Forest level signings of last season, we as a business will be better off financially. It does better than, like, honestly, with all due respect, like we love having interviews with the players and stuff, but Like they don't really drive them subscript like that. They don't. It's transfer news. So I was pointing out. I want to put that out there that if you think that if we're acting as purely like money grabbers, which again, we would want people signing people every day. Because I promise you, like hundreds and hundreds of people subscribed. The day we signed Luis Diaz, and then we had Neil Jones on who knew all about it. It's honestly, from a business point of view, what does my head in, Paul? I know we're off on one is like, people speak about things as fact. And I say, you only do that because of this. No, that's your opinion and you're wrong, and we keep telling you you're wrong. We're just lads who talk about footy, or ladies who talk about the footy. This hidden agendas thing, it drives me insane, it really does. I know we shouldn't let it bother me, but I feel like we're having an open session here.
No, and again, I just want to be clear, because I think most people who know us, and most people who've been with us for a long time, would know that the random shots that get fired are incredibly wide of the mark. They genuinely are. And I know we've reached the point where you can find a narrative there, so you want to say why someone's got to top. It's you can go, it must be because of X, Y, and Z.
It's actually belittling to you, Chris.
Well, no, but it is. I do find that a bit offensive. I'll let it go because it is what it. If people could accuse it, to have my morals questioned and to have my integrity questioned, and moreover to have the blood, sweat, and tears. And there's been a lot of that, like fucking all kinds of stuff that's happened behind the scenes on Redmen, where we have put up above and beyond to maintain it, to make it survive. You know what I mean? To go. We put ourselves.
When I was working 60-hour weeks last week to sort a payment issue out for someone to say the only reason you're successful is because you're an FSC spot, and I've been here for 6 months. You've been here when you were living, it was in your house, and you were those days when you didn't pay yourself for a couple of months because you were trying to get the business to succeed. I find it offensive on your behalf, and I find it hard to keep my mouth shut because you're more classy than me. I think that's what it is. You're more willing to take a backseat. But like, we're a local business that hires 12 people in the city. We've got youngsters like Chloe coming through who we've actively went and sought and employed. To say the only reason we do that is because you're bankrolled, and that's the best thing. We're bankrolled by these people. They're saying, "Oh my god!" Yeah, it's hugely offensive. It really is.
No, and you're right. And again, there's personal sacrifices made along the way. And I joke about this, but there was a time when I was sitting in the baby's bedroom editing with water leaking in through the ceiling because we couldn't afford to fix the roof in the house. But we were keeping this float, and we had 3, probably 4 employees at the time. And again, not to fucking cry on it. It's fine. We do well. We've made a success of it. And I don't care if people think it's because of this. That doesn't really whatever. People can have those opinions because as much as they're annoying and they are offensive,
it's an opinion.
But it's again
a wrong one.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's the problem with opinions. Opinions on subject matters. I don't think opinions when things are based in fact, it's not actually an opinion.
It's just right or wrong.
You're just incorrect.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that bothers me. So if you think we're in FSG's pocket, you're incorrect. It's not an opinion. You're factually incorrect. Now that doesn't say we haven't been allowed into open training sessions.
Have you ever spoke to anyone who works for FSG?
We
briefly bumped into Mike Gordon.
I had a 30-second conversation with Mike Gordon once at an open training session at Fenway Park. And it was like, someone went, "This is Mike Gordon," and I would have had no idea who he was. And he said hello, very cordial. It was me, James Pearce, and I think Ian Doyle and maybe Christian Walsh were there. We said hello, and he went cool, and he kind of got on with his day. I'd love to have a chat with Mike Gordon, but he's on my list of like really fascinating people to interview. Like I've spoken to Jurgen Klopp a couple of times, but you were there with the week at the Strasbourg game where Jurgen saw us and called us over to talk. Like that wasn't because John Emery didn't come down and tap me on the shoulder and go, "Right, I'm going to take you through this back door here, and here lies Jurgen Klopp, and here's what you can and can't say." Yeah. Jurgen wanted to speak to us and has done. He was the one who come to me on the red carpet when we were interviewing the players. And again, if people go, "Well, you're at the red carpet," it's like, I know, but there comes a point where, with a degree of legitimacy, you ask, "Can we go to these things?" And there's a PR cycle. It's the same way that the Echo get into things. The same way that there's if anyone knows who Click Liverpool are, I'm amazed they still exist. This teeny tiny website that's gone for years that covers Liverpool and Everton get invited to these things as well. There's lots of other Liverpool establishments that have been around that didn't get invited to stuff that now do get invited to stuff because they've built a degree. It's just how the world works. I don't fully understand it. There's it's influencers now who get better access than we do, loads better. And fair play to them. When I see I was on the train with FIFA Manny the other day, and he'd just done a thing down at the AXA. I was dead jealous of that. But I think, well, God, I'm putting blood, sweat, and tears in every week, and he just gets to play FIFA and gets to hang out with the players. it's not. It is it's a professional jealousy, but I'm so made up for when people like him. Adam Rowe gets more stuff than we do and stuff. We're in that weird in-between phase of the club don't pull us close because, and I know this for fact because people inside the club who've told me, who are just employees, that they consider us competitors. They can't prop us up. There's things that they've got no choice because, as I say, the manager goes, I want to speak to them, or a brand will go, well, we want to work with Redmen, so you need to allow Redmen to be in the room on these things.
Good PR for something if we can promote something that they've done.
No, exactly, and again, that's, I say, brand books and brandings. That tends to be how we get it. And on pre-seasons, they'll let us into the press box, which I loathe, by the way. It's just not my cup of tea. But that's the only time when I can get in a football game for free, and more often than not, actually, I'd say 9 times out of 10 I buy a match ticket as well, and most of the times I'll go and sit, particularly in aways, I'll go and sit in the crowd and I'll have paid my tickets. I paid 800 quid for a ticket to that Man United friendly in Thailand. Ridiculous, you know what I mean? And but that was what it costs to go. The cost of doing it is extortionate, and that's why we say again, we're funded by the people who subscribe to us.
Not by John Henry.
We're funded by the people who subscribe to Redmen Plus and the people who watch on YouTube and listen on Spotify.
If
and all
I was
that.
funded by John Henry, I'd do a couple of years here and then go and live elsewhere and come back for the football.
I wouldn't, honestly. Again, I like talking about Liverpool, but I would love to do what Gary Lineker does and do 2 shows a week and sit back and enjoy your life in between. I'd love to spend more time with my kids.
Thanks for the commitment, guys. Thanks for committing into the cause.
Yeah.
No, but it's a case of like, why would you choose to you could live, and I would never leave Liverpool because of Liverpool Football Club solely, but you ask millions around the world, why would anyone want to live in a rainy, cold place when you could go to Madrid and just have a lovely time constantly?
But look, I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, but again, we've reached the point where every time Liverpool have put a bad run of results together, why I've not addressed it previously is because I wrote 2 books when we won the Champions League and when we won the league, and the comments were a big part of that book. I took comments from below our videos, and so I follow the trends of how people talk about Liverpool and how people talk about us. And whenever Liverpool have a bad run of results, now fortunately over under Jurgen Klopp, sometimes it can be 2 draws back to back. That's how bad it got. And people immediately, when Liverpool have 2 bad results, all of their we're in FSG's pocket stuff comes out, and it's like, so I don't normally engage with it because I know that Liverpool win a couple of games and people will realise it's not a real thing and they'll get on with supporting the football team. It's like when people have got nothing else to do, they'll turn their fury towards us for whatever reason. They might just not like our voices and faces, which is cool. That's the thing I can get behind. I don't like my face or voice either.
I'm particularly fond of man.
I know, but we all like that. But it's reached a bit of a head of late, and because of the takeover stuff and our perceived stance on the ownership, we seem to have ended up as like the poster children for pro FSG, which is not the case.
Do we even have a stance? We don't have a stance.
No, honestly, and I can't speak for everyone who works. We've got 12 people who work here. Everyone's got variations on
Producer Joe hates them, don't you, Joe? Yeah.
He said, yeah, there you go.
You're sacked, Joe.
Yeah. That's you cut off, Joe.
No more fancy buffets for you.
But as I say, my take, it's so broad, but my simplest of takes on it is, if they'd spent more money, might Liverpool have won more trophies? It's possible they might have won more trophies, but when I look at my life as a Liverpool fan, I look at it as a whole, and I am so pleased because we went through the doldrums. I was at the 10-year Istanbul anniversary event at the Echo Arena, and I cried my eyes out at that. Cried my eyes out like a baby, because it was 10 years on from Istanbul. We just got battered by Stoke. Steven Gerrard left the football club, and I was like, we are never going to get to experience that again in my lifetime. And then within
4 years,
we'd won it again. And we've been to, and then since then we've been to 2 more finals around it, and we've won the league since then. That's why I am not pitchfork in hand trying to oust the owners, because compared to what has gone previously, they've been the best owners Liverpool have had since it became a thing. In the Premier League era, they have delivered the most success. And whether it's the people they've brought in, or whether it's down to Jurgen Klopp, or it's down to Michael Edwards, or it's down to the players on the pitch, it is, by the way, they're the guys who've gone and kicked the balls in, and put the players on the pitch and all that kind of stuff. They're the ones I really care about. that's as far as my opinion on FSG goes. I want new owners to come in and do what they've done,
with a bit more dough.
But with more dough to spend on players and more dough to put into community projects and more dough to help people. But for LFC and the community do really good things. We've increased the size of the stadium. They've put the new training ground in place.
And we won everything.
They've engaged with people like Jamie Webster and Spirit of Shankly and Spy and Cop 1906 to help give Liverpool fans a greater voice. They've put fans on the board. That they're all really, really good things, and I won't see them wiped away because they're important. And my fears are if you got someone who come in who took that stuff away or didn't respect the fans enough. And to go back to my original point, Liverpool is a multicultural city. It is a multicultural football club. Everyone of all race, creeds and religions are welcome at Anfield, and they should be, because we're a brilliant football club, and Liverpool as a city will welcome all people. We're a port city. We love people coming in. The Scouse accent exists because of people coming from different places and bringing bits and pieces of culture with them. It's why we feel like we stand apart from other cities. But I would be very uncomfortable if an owner came in who was dead set and made people feel unwelcome at Anfield. So like I have to say, if it was someone who didn't believe and we've seen quotes come out from various places, and that can come from the far right in America, same way it can come from extremism of all different areas around the globe. I wouldn't want our female or gay or trans fans to feel unwelcome and this happens, and we always say this, by the way, when Liverpool supported Luis Suarez in the racism stuff, I know a lot of black Liverpool fans who felt very uncomfortable going back to Liverpool because it felt as though Liverpool was saying that we're okay with racism, and that's an example where Liverpool need to be careful in that. But hopefully it won't be an issue, and hopefully we can just all kick on and have a better football club and continue to, because we just want to beat Man City more often. We want to win more silverware. We want the best players to want to come and play and to be able to give Jurgen Klopp the best possible tools to go into that fight. Everybody, I think, and I don't speak for all Liverpool fans, but that's the one thing I can say I think we can all agree on if we're Liverpool fans. We want Jurgen Klopp to stay as long as possible. We want him to be able to build a dynasty at Liverpool to conquer what was gone before, to better Shanks and to better Paisley and to absolutely bury the legacy of Alex Ferguson at Manchester United as well. And if that happens, then let's all get behind it. I cannot wait. But as I say, from our life and experience, you have to be aware that things might not go that way, but let's hope that it does. So anyway, look, I for most of you, I'm sure you didn't feel we needed to do that, but there's obviously a few things we need to get off our chest then, so thank you so much for allowing us.
I wasn't expecting that, but I feel a little bit better after.
I do, and I had this last night engaging with people on Twitter.
I was texting you going, you're going to end up wrecking your head here.
No, but there was a couple of guys there who I had a bit of back and forth with, and I explained to them that I won't have people accuse me of abhorrent things like racism. I will not be called a racist when I am not. I won't stand for that. That crosses a line. But I will admit when I'm if you don't know enough about the subject, then that's you would already be educated. 100%. Yeah. We started life basically as a protest channel. You know what I mean? We started life, covering Liverpool protests. When things need to be covered, we've been there and covered them. We don't temper our views based on other things. That's just the way it is. If a footballer plays shit, we'll say a footballer's played shit. If a manager does shit, we'll say a manager's done shit.
If the owners try and put
we were fucking like the fucking Super League. Oh, I can't. I was there. Like I was. Like
the furlough stuff. We were on the show that day going, what the fuck is that? The ticket stuff, I walked out of Anfield, £77.
We covered the protests of the thing. We've done this. People say we haven't. We have. I don't have a passionate love for the current owners. I just like that they've been there while Liverpool have won, so they get a bit of credit for that. But that's as far as it goes. Right. Please feel free to talk with us in the comments on all of this stuff, by the way. I'm happy to engage with stuff. As ever, look, abuse will not be tolerated. We will not tolerate unsolicited abuse. If you disagree with us, disagree with us. You're entitled to disagree with us. That's what it is to be human. If you're factually incorrect on stuff, though, then you will be called out back on that. And us too, by the way. I get facts wrong all the time, and I'm happy to be corrected because it makes me a better, more rounded, more intelligent person when I'm corrected. My mother was a teacher. I've been raised being corrected on every single thing that I've done and said for my entire life, so I'm used to it, and it's made me better.